Welcome to Kayfabe Crimes, the podcast where wrestling is not an alibi. I'm Kim.
And I'm Aaron. And together we're going to investigate the crimes committed by AEW wrestlers on Dynamite this week.
Okay, so we have to go over some ground rules so that everyone is on the same page. First things first, bell to bell, we don't really count it. If a ref sees the crime and allows it, then it's allowed.
Yes, this only counts for singles matches. For tag matches, multi-person matches, like trio matches, etc. Because there's so much chaos going on, we can't expect the referee to see everything. The only time that differs is if a weapon or etc. has been used to give a clear extra advantage. What we're talking about is if somebody who's not tagged in, punches the person who is tagged in on the other team. We counted every one of them as a crime. We were there for about 2 hours talking about one tag match.
Yeah. And then promos don't count. Mm-hmm. That is very important. Like, how long would we be here if we were like, okay, so they said this, this, and this. Promos are meant to rile up your opponent.
The basis of a promo is you're meant to be horrible to your opponent. I was just looking at the car. You're meant to be horrible to the opponent. If we sat there and tallied every time somebody said some mean words to each other in a promo, it would be the world's longest episode. Yeah. And number 4, maybe the best and the most important rule, we're not to be taken seriously. This whole thing is just us having a bit of a laugh. We want to look at wrestling in a different direction. We're not cops, we're not lawyers, we don't have any real basis in law at all. We're just kind of winging it as we go along. And for our American listeners out there, we use the UK laws because that's where we are. That's easier for us to find information about.
Yep. That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Rules.
So shall we dive into Dynamite this week?
Yes. So, first things first, the Hurt Syndicate were just walking around backstage and they had some fans singing at them.
We hurt people. We hurt people.
You see,
we hurt people.
I understand why they did it now. I want to do it.
That's because you've got to deal with me doing that 5 times a day.
So they had some fans singing at them and MVP was like, that's fun, you know what? And hits him with the cane and then they start hitting everyone.
And it was them 3 versus 5 as well. So the 5 got absolutely battered.
Yeah. We have no idea if they were wrestlers waiting for a match or if they worked backstage or a mix. Yeah. So, and the Hurt Syndicate are already pretty fucking tough.
Yeah. In kayfabe, because obviously we know most of them are wrestlers if they're going to get battered by somebody, but in kayfabe, were they wrestlers waiting for their match? Were they staff? We don't know. But they got battered either way. One of them got put into the laundry basket, which was quite funny. Yeah. But unfortunately for the Hurt Syndicate, it does all count as a crime.
Yep. They weren't doing anything. They were being your fans, and you attack.
So we're going to go over, because we think it's obviously some sort of assault. This is the first time we've discussed assault on this episode. So for new viewers, we're going to go through what the different meanings of assault are in the UK and what different levels of assault you can get.
So there are 3 levels. I will go over the first, which is common assault. And that's when a person inflicts violence on someone or makes them think they're going to be attacked. It doesn't have to involve physical. I don't know if we should even say that anymore, but because, we only do physical, really.
Well, yeah, but it's the actual law.
In the actual law, it doesn't have to include physical. Threatening words, raised fists is enough to, be counted. Just as long as someone thinks that a crime is going to be, that an attack is going to be committed.
Yes. Then the next level after that is actual body harm, or ABH. It means the assault has caused some hurt or injury to the victim. Physical injury does not need to be serious or permanent, but must be more than trifling or transient, which means it must at least cause minor injuries or pain or discomfort. Psychological harm can be covered by the defence, but this must be more than just fear or anxiety.
And then finally is grievous bodily harm, or GBH. Just the attack has caused some serious physical harm. Doesn't have to be permanent or dangerous. Like a broken bone would amount to GBH. Because in some cases, a broken bone might lead to permanent disability, but in others, it'll heal without any long-term effects. It can also include psychiatric injury or passing on an infection.
Okay. So for this one, I think it was trifling and transient. It was a quick attack. They just took advantage of these 5 guys, threw them around a bit. And so I think it is going to count as a common assault.
Agree.
Okay, so we go through then what. So with the offences that you could commit, you have different levels of offence as to how culpable you are, so how much did you do this, how much are you to blame for doing this, and how much harm has been done. Again, because it's the first time we're going through the episode, we're going to go through the levels of culpability and then harm, and then we can discuss what sentencing we think they get because of them.
Mm-hmm. So first of all, we've got culpability, and there are 2 levels. High is the intention to cause fear or serious harm.
Mm-hmm.
Victim obviously vulnerable due to age, characteristics, or circumstances. It's prolonged or persistent assault, use of substantial force, strangulation, suffocation, threatened or actual use of a weapon or weapon equivalent, and a leading role in group activity.
And then B is lesser culpability. So a lesser role in a group activity, mental disorder or learning disability were linked to the commissions of the offence, excessive self-defence, and all other cases not captured under A. So I think, personally, for Bobby and Shelton, it would be a B. And for MVP, because he used the weapon, he would fall under A.
I definitely agree about MVP. But it was prolonged for the other 2 as well.
Yeah, they did. So they did go. It wasn't just like a punch and finished it. They did attack everybody.
Attacked everyone multiple times.
Yeah. So okay, then I agree. A high culpability for all of them on this one. Then yes.
Okay, next we've got harm, and there are 3 categories. First category is more than minor physical or psychological harm. Category 2 is minor or physical or psychological harm, and then 3 is no or very low level.
Yeah. I think it's going to be at least a category 2 for harm.
Oh, definitely.
They're 3 big burly men, big meaty men. MVP was swinging his cane around.
He broke his cane.
Yeah, Bobby Lashley was just throwing fools like there were nothing. So I think it's going to be at least level 2, maybe inching towards level 1. I don't know, which one would you say?
I'm going to say 2.
Yeah.
Because we don't know if they were wrestlers or backstage, but if you work in wrestling, you're not going to be like a weak person.
No. And also no, yeah, I totally agree. I was going to say exactly the same point, but then you just, fired me right in there.
They looked like they at least work out.
Yeah, so A and 2 for the harm.
Oh, we got 16 weeks custody. I was expecting to have to think of some community service for them. They've got 16 weeks
community
custody.
Service for them is quite easy. You're not allowed to lift. But yeah, so they got 16 weeks custody for that. That's I agree with that. Yeah.
Okay, next crime.
Okay, so the next crime after that is that the Death come down after the Ops have had their match, and they'll start the Mox and you to get in the ring and hit a couple of people. Claudio and Marina jump the fence and start attacking. I think it was Hobbs in the corner. At first, when we were just watching the video back, because I had it on mute, I thought Marina actually hadn't done anything, but then when you actually listen to it with the sound on, the commentaries do say that Marina was hitting people, so I think she's just as culpable as everybody else underneath this for this. Joe defends himself and then gets Mox in a choke, and
so whilst Joe's choking out Mox, Claudio recoil bombs, we think, Shibata into an upturned chair.
Yes. So if it was anybody else Joe was choking out, I would say this would be excessive force being used on somebody. Yeah. But Joe has fought Mox before. He knows of what level he needs to do to Mox to put him down, such as, was it last week or the week before, where he choked him and he still stood up afterwards.
Yeah.
So I think as a self-defense, I think he was in the right to do what he did to Mox for that.
Yeah.
If he was choking out maybe Yuta or somebody else for that long, I think it would be counted as excessive self-defense.
Yeah, but I agree.
Yeah.
I think with Mox, it's not like that's the level you need to go.
Yeah. And then from there, I think everybody's under the same culpability because they've all done the same group attack on the Ops. I think maybe it's just going to be Claudio is obviously going to be doing more higher level either damage or culpability because obviously he got the chair, he slammed somebody into the chair.
Yep. So
it's obviously clearly again straight away a common assault. I don't think it's going to be anything other than that. So we just need to determine the group and then Claudio separately, I think.
So I want to put them all, including Claudio, as A, because it was prolonged, persistent. Like they made sure that everyone was down.
And it was a substantial force, prolonged attack, and threatened or actual use of a weapon. So I think you agree. There's enough things there to hit under A for high culpability.
Yeah. So this is where I think we're going to separate them. Is harm. I want to say for everyone else, 3.
I maybe lean towards 2. It's minor physical because it was a bit of a scrap. It wasn't just poof and that was done, like a little tap. It was a bit of scrap. Like we didn't see Hobbs after he was attacked. Joe,
didn't he come running back into the ring?
It might have. Yeah. Okay, then if you want to go for 3, that's fine. Then I think I might be wrong on that one. Then yeah.
After what happened to Shibata, I'm pretty sure Hobbs also came running back into the ring.
No. Now you said that, I do remember that now. So I do agree with you that. So we'll go for 3 then.
It was A and 3, which is community service.
Okay, so this is for Mox, Yuta, and
Marina.
Okay, so what do you think as what we should give them as a community order?
So I'm thinking group.
Yeah, I like the idea of group. It's like it was a group attack. Maybe they might get something out of it of doing a group because they've had a bit of like separate things, being separate, put as prison separately, giving them different community orders. So maybe we group them together. Maybe they can learn a bit of friendship. Get Trent in there.
Yeah.
So what are we thinking?
So. I don't know how this is going to go down, but when they had Bryan, Yuta was always punished by going on hikes with him and doing like the bridges and shit up on the high mountains. And we like to picture that he also had to carry all the camera cut.
He had to do all the work. Yeah.
So what if they have to do that? They also have to carry like some really heavy shit.
What is like we combine that with like helping people, so they have to lead trails up mountains for like novice mountaineers and that type of thing, and novice like trail walkers. So they've got to like be the people that help get those people like up the mountain, because like they're not going to do, which is going to wind everybody other than maybe Yuta up. And it's a community service. They're helping out the community. They're not just going up there for the sake of it. They're doing some good for people there. Yeah,
and because they're novice hikers, they won't think about like equipment that need to take. So they have to carry extra, like all their equipment for themselves and then extras.
Yes.
So yeah, you know what? I like that.
Okay.
And you know, memory of Bryan. You have to remember.
R.I.P.
What they did to him.
Yuta just crying as he's walking up the mountain because he remembers the ghost of Bryan tapping him on the shoulder.
They are lucky we didn't start this when that happened, you know.
You'd never see Yuta again. He'd be gone.
Okay, and then Claudio, you're out you get like a break from the hiking. Because I wanted to say 1.
Yeah, he absolutely slammed him into that chair.
That's category of harm, by the way.
Yeah, I totally agree. So it's going to be hopefully culpability A again from the last time, and I think going to be harm 1.
Yeah,
totally agree with that.
He needed help to get out of the ring. He looked like he was in a lot of pain. So I'm saying 1.
Yeah, so 26 weeks custody for that because if it's A and 1. Yeah, totally agree. Okay. So the next one we've got to talk about is not really, well, it is a crime, but I think it is kind of like half a dozen one and a dozen of the other. So during their match, Luther pushes Miyu out of the way because she's kicking Tony Storm's ass, literally. Literally kicking her ass. So she gives him a good kick for it, which he kind of deserves. He pushed her, he lays hands on somebody else. I don't think either of them would get convicted for it. He's clearly pushed somebody, but you're not going to give anybody a community service over a push.
No.
And she's defending herself. But I think because it was a crime, it was worth just mentioning that. Yeah.
Poor asses.
I think like Tony Storm has got to do something gay as fuck in every single match, and that was her one. God, yeah. She was like, yes, kick me in the fucking ass loads of times.
And then the next one is also quite a small one.
Yeah.
Mercedes is out after that match,
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, doing her thing.
Yeah.
And
Talking
then
shite.
a hater comes out to interrupt her.
Mm-hmm.
Mercedes goes to swing at her first. So,
Yeah.
like, they're both at each other's throat, like,
Yeah.
yelling shit at each other.
Yeah.
Mercedes swings first,
Mm-hmm.
but hater blocks it and hits her back.
Yep.
And then Monet dodges the haterade, and I like this bit that you wrote, and then runs away like a Scooby-Doo villain because she's in the
Clip-clapping in the heels.
tiniest of heels.
I've got the thought of kind of giving that the same. They're both arguing with each other, both in each other's face. I reckon if Monet hadn't swung first, Hater was going to go and do it anyway. I don't think maybe give them a light community service each for the argument, but then I don't think it's even that to that level.
I think it was just an argument.
Yeah, that's got a little bit over the top, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think it's really worth giving anything for. I think it's still a crime. Like when we would start doing stats again, it would count toward a crime stats, but I don't think any court in the UK would give them anything other than a telling off.
Yeah.
For it.
Like, grow the fuck up.
Yeah, sort your fucking selves out.
Yep, I agree.
Okay, and so the next crime after that is MGF comes out trying to get back into the Hurt Syndicate again. He gets 2 thumbs up, and then he lastly puts a thumb down. So MGF starts fucking laying into him like an idiot, and then lastly literally just manhandles him into the corner, just drags him into the corner and tells him, "We hurt people. If you want to be part of us, you need to hurt people as well." Technically, it is an assault.
So,
go on.
it mentions about psychological, like he was distressed.
He was fucking terrified.
He was like, "I'm sorry."
Yeah.
He actually said, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry."
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't say sorry.
No, yeah.
That's how scared he was.
Because my initial thought of it was, like, we're being quite lenient this episode, maybe let Lashley get away with it. But now with you saying that, like, yeah, I've never seen MJF more scared or sorry in his life. Like, I think, wasn't the last time he tried to say sorry, he was nearly sick.
Yeah.
Like, so, having him beg for his life and say sorry so much, it has majorly psychologically damaged him. So, yeah, I think, you know what, I'll agree with you on that one. I think you might be right for that. I do think it's only going to be a lesser culpability.
Yeah, I don't think it's much.
I don't think it falls into any of the ones. He's not vulnerable.
He'd say otherwise.
Yeah. There wasn't really substantial force nor strangulation or threat of use of active weapon. The only one you could possibly fall it under was attention to cause fear of serious harm. But I don't think it was strong enough for that. There's not enough other bits in culpability where we can like say 100% it's that. So I think it falls under B.
I agree.
Yeah.
But then, is
How
it
much
one or two?
How much psych damage did he do with that attack? I think for MJF, for how like much he begged for his life, I'd say it's maybe one, because it's serious psychological harm or distress.
And like that looked like it.
Yeah.
For him.
I've never seen MJF look so vulnerable and like sorry in his life for anything he's ever done.
I think he might have pissed himself.
Yeah. So we're going to go with B and 1.
Yeah.
Okay. So B and 1 gives you 16 weeks, Bobby.
Sorry, Bobby.
I've got something in my eye and it looks like I'm fucking scratching it all fucking day. It's, and then the last one's a quick one, I think.
Yeah, Kyle low blows Hanger during their match.
Yeah. So as we said with the rules to start, if the referee sees it and doesn't DQ it, but if you watch it, the referee gets knocked out the way. He's looking at the audience when this happens. So I do think this does count as a crime. As I argued last time with a nut tap, this was more than a nut tap, so it's definitely going to be quite high ranking on the high damage. I think we just need to decide what type of assault, how culpable he was of doing it. So
I think it was just lesser.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go for lesser again, like for that one, because it doesn't fall into any of the ones. Maybe you could argue substantial force, but I think you'd be really pushing it then.
Yeah.
So again, I think it falls into B like the last one. I think we ended up on like 2 for a nut tap last time, so I think we're going to have to give it at least that for this one.
Right. I agree with you.
Yeah.
However, he kicked out and he continued to fight, and I think he might actually be smart and be wearing a cup.
As I said last time, I will punch you in the boob. I think you could tell me 1, 2, or 3, or we could just go for 2. Which one's it going to be?
I think we just go for 2, please. I will take 2, please.
I thought you might say that. So B and 2 comes out as a community order for Kyle.
Yeah.
He has got to go and teach all of the other, mostly male wrestlers, I think, how to be as cunty as he is. His entrance gear is just fucking spot on. Him and Roosh and that, like, they come out and they just look amazing. They got the pump, they got the pageantry down to a T, and more wrestlers need to be doing that. You can throw at pay-per-view. You could throw like Will Ospreay to that group as well. They're all down. They all got the pump and the pageantry right for wrestling. It needs to be taught to more wrestlers, and it needs to be more of that happening. So I think give Carl Fletcher. He's got to go around and teach everybody to dress as cunty as he does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of them have the personality down. They
yes,
just don't
100%. You just got to have the outfit to match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go for that.
Okay. Okay, so before we wrap up, is there anything else you want to talk about?
I have 2 things. One is fun, one is a little bit more serious.
Okay, well, we do the serious one first, and then we can end on the fun one, because I've got nothing to really talk about this week.
Okay, so on Tumblr yesterday, I saw someone say that having moral OCD makes being a wrestling fan really hard, because they will see their favorite wrestler do something, or they like the bad guys, and they start thinking, "Oh, am I a bad person for liking this?" And then they go online, and they are like, it's confirmed to them basically that they're a shitty person for liking said thing or said person. And I want to say that's not true. Wrestling is entertainment. It's sports entertainment. So I think of it as 2 different things.
Can't say that word, you'll get arrested. That's a WWE word, they'll come and strike us down.
Okay, it's entertainment in sport. Okay. So, like,
it's theatre kids doing sports.
Yeah, basically. So if you like the promos and the pageantry, like we were saying, like, even if it is shitty, that doesn't make you a bad person. Just like if you like the bad guy in a movie or a TV show. I was going to say, like, just because you think the villain's good and you think he's a good villain doesn't mean you're a villain. Like, you can watch a movie, be like, so what? That was a great villain, like he played him so well, etc. But that doesn't mean you are a villain, you're a bad person. Exactly. And it's the same in wrestling. And I think a lot of people ruin wrestling for themselves and also for other people when they forget that, when they like go for like it's real. Yeah.
The only caveat I'd bring into that is, like, obviously I'd say maybe 50% of the time MJF is a great bad guy, like he does bad guy shit that you should, like, he's doing it well, but then he'll throw in stuff like the angle of bringing out the girls and presenting them as thingy. The caveat on that is, like, if you like that bit of it where there's being sexist and like bringing like real world sexist shit and or real world racist shit into it, then you're a piece of shit, fuck off.
I completely agree. You can like that person, but you can dislike some of the things that they do. So like that's when I think wrestling fans tend to forget that, and then the sports part, like, they go the other way and they like remember that it's fake, and then they get pissed off about like certain certain people winning or losing, but then they need to do what I do and just think of it as any other sport.
Just watching kayfabe all the time.
That's what I do.
Like, it's kayfabe. You don't, even though you do talk about people who think Darby Allin's still going to win the title, you don't actually know until they tell you on the screen. Stop getting pretty angry for shit.
And so, you know, it's a sport. Do you know which team's going to win?
No.
In like football or in boxing? No. So why can't you do that for wrestling as well? But my main takeaway from this is you're not a shitty person if you like this shitty guy.
Yes.
Because it's entertainment.
Yes, totally agree. Okay, and what was your fun thing?
Hangman won. I'm like all out for him. I've got cowboy shit earrings and the really old top that you don't sell anymore. No. But yeah, I'm so happy, and he smiled.
He did a little smile at the end. Oh my god, the little smile.
Like, I was trying to remember the last time he smiled, and
I can't remember.
I can't remember.
I couldn't tell.
Like,
Yeah.
Maybe when they won the trios titles for ROH, and that was like almost 2 years ago.
So like
he smiled, and I'm so happy for him, and like I didn't expect him to win.
And like I do probably not as much, but I've seen a week of people like, oh, he's not gonna win, like they're gonna do Carl and Will Ospreay again. It's getting pretty angry for something that's not happened yet. But
I expected Carl to win.
I'm so made up he won. Like, I don't know whether he's going to be Ospreay or not. That's a different thing.
But
in or out of kayfabe. But I think it's still up in the air, which I enjoy, because sometimes I feel you're going to know who's going to win in the match when it goes into a match. But it's so much better when you don't know who's going to win, and you're like, who the fuck's going to win this? Like, there's a path for both guys for winning that match, and there's a story there for both guys winning that match. Ospreay bringing the title back to the UK for the first time once he's won it, and Hangman, which obviously is going to be the better story, don't get me wrong. Hangman, the redemption arc of he's proven his shit, he's going to get it all back.
Yeah.
And then obviously there's a third option, which I don't think anybody really wants, but it kind of makes sense if it does. Mock's still winning.
Yeah.
Because he wants a new, fresh person to be the face of the company. You could always argue that Hangman is already the main character of the company. He might not always be in the main story, but he's the main character. He's one of the main characters. And Will Ospreay, I don't think you can get him any bigger than he already is. I don't think a title is going to help him in that respect. So you could still have Mox win and build somebody else up.
Yeah.
For example, Darby, like if Darby won it, like yes, he's a great wrestler, everybody loves him, but he's that little tiny bit where he's not quite classed as a main eventer yet. That the title would elevate him to that like, he's right on the edge. I think he is a main eventer, but he's not quite seen as a main eventer by a lot of people, and that could change the perception of it if he had a brilliant title run out of it. That's not to say I think he's going to win it and he's going to be him, but I think the story's there if they wanted to tell it. Yeah,
I think that we can't have it in our minds that Darby's going to win it, because we don't know when he's coming back.
No, exactly. Like
and as much as I don't want it to happen, there is like a very, very small chance that he might not.
And not even that he might not come back. He might come back injured. He might be fucked for a couple of months afterwards.
That's what I mean. He could. What he's trying to do is extremely dangerous. He could seriously hurt himself and be out for a long time. And then we can't have Mox being the champ until he returns. Yeah. Like, somebody has to win it.
No, 100%.
But yeah,
Hangman smiled. That's all we need to know.
Hangman smiled, and I was happily surprised because I expected, especially when Lance came out as well. Yeah, I expected some shenanigans to go down.
Where was the shenanigans? Don Callis, you let your man down.
We were expecting
You let your man down.
It.
You let us down. We give you a community service every week. Why couldn't we do it this week?
Right, we actually have one planned for you.
We actually thought one out ahead, and you didn't do anything.
But yeah, that's all I have to say. I'm so happy for Hangman.
Okay, well, thank you so much for everybody that has been listening. If you could leave a like down below and share this with everybody, it would really help us out a lot. If you could leave a little comment, talk about something we've talked about, mention some wrestlers, just go crazy, show us some love.
You know what would help as well? Maybe just write some community service ideas.
Do you know what? Yeah, that's a great one. Write down some ideas for people that you to give community service to and why.
Yeah, because sometimes we struggle.
Yeah. So thank you very much, and we'll see you on whenever we see you next.
I think it is.
Yeah, Monday probably at this point. Yeah. I've started to think what fucking day it was. Yeah. Anyway, goodbye. See you later.